Can you tell the difference between these two loaves? One of the loaves I baked with a sourdough starter that was only 12 days old. The other loaf I baked with my mature sourdough starter that's years old. Isn't it cool to see the difference? I'm going to show you exactly what I did for this test. I made both of the batches of dough the exact same way. I'm putting the link down below to my recipe. And then both batches went into the large containers and into the fridge so that they could cold proof overnight. The one on the right is the dough that is made with my really mature starter. The one on the left is the really young baby starter. And I'd say the thing that I noticed the most about the different doughs is that the one on the right, the mature one, is much more stout and stiff. The one on the left, it just has a bit more fluff to it, which is interesting because it is the younger starter. So then this is the exact same thing that I did for each loaf. I took out 900 grams of dough straight from the fridge. This is cold from the fridge. I don't do any bulk fermenting on the counter. I allow all of that bulk fermentation to happen as a cold ferment in the fridge, which makes the dough a little bit more stiff, but it also makes it easier to work with. I love having a bowl of water next to me because then I can dip my fingers in there if the dough is feeling a little sticky, or I can also use it on the counter so that the dough will not stick to it. Now, you will notice I am not using a scale to measure this. I'm essentially just taking out approximately half of what is in the container because I know that what I put in that container is 2 loaves worth of dough, 2 900-gram loaves. You can see that the dough is slightly sticking to the counter. So, I'm going to use a little bit more water so that it doesn't get completely stuck to it. I don't allow the dough to sit and rest on the counter. Instead, I shake it out and I do a really good dose of tension creating on it. Then we're going to make sure that we weave that dough back and forth. I'm not super concerned about pushing any air out of the dough right now. I'm more concerned with making tension. If you're not creating enough tension in your loaves, they will not have something to push against, and it actually makes your loaf not rise as well. Tension is key. Then I'm going to put this into a really, really well floured banneton basket. I'm going to cover it well, and it's actually going back into the fridge for another round of cold proofing. I'll put a link down in the description below all about cold proofing, why it makes your dough actually bake up a better loaf of bread, gives you better rise, better flavor, better texture, better crust. Honestly, cold proofing is this magic bullet with sourdough baking, and you should utilize it. It actually makes it so much easier. After the loaf cold proof in the fridge, all day, so I would say 6 to 7 hours, or you can just let it cold proof overnight. You can see the dough is really pretty stiff, but I'm doing that final bit of tension creating where you just kind of work your way around the banneton basket and you're tucking in those sides one more time before you turn it out onto your parchment paper. Then we're going to score it. Now this is cold, straight from the fridge. It spent no time on the counter doing any proofing or rising. Sourdough is different than yeasted dough. It doesn't need to sit on your counter and rise and double in size. You actually want all of that rising to happen in the oven. That's how you get the best texture. So make sure you do one big deep score on one side, which when the dough is cold, it's easier to do this. And then the other scoring that you do is really just decor. Just you can do little tiny slashes, but the more shallow that those slashes are, the better it will keep that design. Now we're going to repeat this exact same process with my dough that is from the mature starter. Take out 900 grams straight from the fridge, cold dough, put a little bit of water on the counter. We're going to shake it out and we're going to do that tension creating. And I would say still again, this dough is a little bit more stout and firm than the dough that my young starter made, but still super easy to work with, not sticky in any way. Create that tension, get it into your well-floured banneton basket, cover well, put it back into the fridge and let it cold proof for 6 to 7 hours or overnight. Your choice, whatever works best for you. Then you're going to bake, and I baked both of these loaves the exact same way. They both baked in my big Dutch oven. The oven was preheated to 450 degrees. I baked with the lid on for 30 to 35 minutes and then lid off for about 20 minutes. Don't forget to do that final bit of tension creating before you turn your loaf out onto the parchment paper. This bit of tension helps so much in the loaf retaining its shape and having really good rise in the oven. One of the other things that I made sure I did the exact same with both of the loaves is that I took the internal temperature before I took them out of the oven. So they both hit 200 degrees before I took them out of the Dutch oven and had them stop baking. So I mixed up the dough the same. They proofed in the fridge the same. They proofed in the Banneton basket the same. And here they both are. The one on the left is from my mature starter. I would say it has better shape. That big open rise is a little bit more consistent. This one on the right is from my baby or my young starter. The loaf is still beautiful. It's still got great rise, but it doesn't have quite the same structure to it. The outside of the loaf just doesn't look quite as uniform. Now, some of that could definitely be because I am a human being and I probably didn't shape them the exact same way, but for the most part, I would say the one from the mature starter has a little bit more uniform shape. The one from the baby starter is a little bit more open and loose. Now take a look at the inside. The one on the right is the young starter. The one on the left is the mature starter. I would say the one on the left has bigger air pockets. It has a little bit more open crumb, whereas the one from the young starter is a little bit smaller air pockets and just it's a little bit more, I hesitate to even say dense because it wasn't dense even eating it, but it just was like all of the air pockets were a little bit smaller. And so this is what I want you to see, because if you have just started your own sourdough starter, don't give up if your bread is just not getting that big, huge rise quite yet. The more that you bake with that starter, the better your bread is going to get. And that's true for, so many things, but definitely for sourdough baking. The more that you bake, the better it's going to get, the more you understand the process, and the easier it is to break all of the rules. We're putting loads of links down in the description below to our whole sourdough playlist, the video to if you need to know how to start your own starter, our basic everyday dough that we bulk make and we keep in our fridge. So much goodness. Click down below. We're so glad we can bake together.